All right, strap in, everyone. We are diving deep, and this time we're going full-on Iron Man.
That's right. You guys sent in a mountain of material for this one.
We're talking the official IMDb page, the stats, the whole 9 yards, but the real treasure.
Over 1,600 user reviews. That's right. 1,641 to be exact.
Okay, so that's our playground today. The 2008 Iron Man, a game changer.
Big time. I mean, this wasn't just another superhero flick. For a lot of people, this was the movie.
It kicked off the whole thing, right? The MCU as we know it.
The one that started it all, that's what we kept seeing in these reviews. A real turning point.
So we've got our mission. We're sifting through this massive pile of opinions, reactions, looking back at 2008, but also
How it holds up today, right?
yeah, what makes it tick, why it resonated.
Yeah.
And we've got the IMDb details too, of course.
Budget, box office, runtime, all the hard facts.
2 hours, 4 minutes, widescreen, filmed with Panavision cameras, if you're curious.
But those are just numbers. We want the heart of the thing.
Exactly. What were people feeling back then? What are they saying now?
And one thing's crystal clear. Iron Man was not some guaranteed slam dunk. Not everyone was on board right away.
Especially with RDJ, Robert Downey Jr. I saw a good chunk of reviews. People were skeptical.
Could he really pull off a superhero? That was the big question.
Some folks flat out admitted they were wrong, you know? Went in with doubts and came out.
Totally converted. One reviewer said they misjudged the movie completely.
Talk about eating your words.
But that just shows you the power of casting, when it really clicks.
And imagine being a die-hard comic book fan. One guy said he'd been collecting Iron Man comics for 40 years.
40 years, wow.
Waiting for this movie. Talk about pressure.
And let's face it, Downey Jr. carries a lot of this film on his shoulders.
No question. But the reviews, I mean, the praise is through the roof.
People were blown away. Perfect, phenomenal, iconic. These words get thrown around a lot.
But in this case, they seem to fit.
What's interesting is how many people felt he didn't just play Tony Stark. He became him.
Right, the swagger, the sarcasm, that whole genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist vibe.
But also the vulnerability underneath. That's what makes it more than just a caricature.
And a lot of people were convinced no one else could have done it.
Like the role was made for him. And there were even some reviewers who drew parallels between Downey Jr.'s real life and Tony Stark's journey.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting, especially when you think about the themes that would play out in later movies.
The struggles, the demons. Some people felt like Downey Jr. brought a real depth to the role based on his own experiences.
Added another layer, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was intentional or not.
But let's not forget the story itself. How did our reviewers break down the plot?
Well, it's classic origin story material. You've got Tony Stark, genius inventor, weapons manufacturer.
A bit of a merchant of death, as he puts it himself.
Right, living the high life, not really thinking about the consequences. Then, bam, he gets captured in Afghanistan.
By the Ten Rings, this terrorist group.
And they want him to build them weapons, but instead he's working on something else entirely.
The Mark I Iron Man suit, built in a cave, with a box of scraps.
Pretty resourceful, right? And he pulls off this daring escape with Yinsen, his fellow captive.
And this whole experience changes him. It's a turning point. He comes back a different man.
Wants to do good, wants to make amends for the damage he's caused. But of course, there's conflict.
Enter Obadiah Stane, his business partner, who's got his own agenda.
Turns out he's the real villain, pulling strings behind the scenes.
And he's not just going to sit back and watch Stark dismantle their empire.
So you get this awesome showdown, Iron Man versus Ironmonger.
Classic good versus evil, but with a lot of nuance thrown in.
Now, a few reviewers really praised the structure of the whole thing. It's a pretty tight 3-act story.
Yeah, the capture and escape, then Stark's transformation and the fallout from that, then the final confrontation.
Really hits those classic story beats. And I thought it was interesting, some people pointed out the choice of the Ten Rings as the initial antagonists.
Right, because some reviewers felt like it was a way to avoid demonizing an entire culture.
Yeah, it established the conflict without getting into potentially problematic territory. The real villain was always Stane.
Interesting, so a bit of strategic storytelling there. But let's talk about the visuals, the spectacle.
Oh, the special effects. People were raving about them. Remember, this was 2008.
Still early days for the kind of CGI we see now.
But the reviews are full of words like impeccable, seamless. People were impressed with how realistic the suit looked.
And the HUD, the heads-up display inside the helmet.
So much detail. You really felt like you were right there with Tony.
And the action sequences.
Those were a major highlight. Thrilling, exciting, well choreographed. People loved the flight scenes especially.
Yeah, that sense of speed, power, it really came through.
And let's not forget the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, heavy metal vibes. It fit perfectly.
Though one reviewer did complain that they didn't use enough of the actual Iron Man riff by Black Sabbath.
Uh-huh. Can't please everyone. But overall, the music got a big thumbs up.
Definitely. And the production design? People appreciated how realistic the environments looked, even with all the futuristic tech.
That grounded feeling, it helped make the story believable. But what about the supporting characters? How did they stack up?
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts got a lot of love.
Great chemistry with Downey Jr.
Yeah, and people liked that she wasn't just a damsel in distress.
Strong, intelligent, independent. Definitely held her own against Tony Stark.
Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane, the villain.
The reviews were a bit more mixed on him.
Some people loved him, called him a spectacular villain. Others thought he was a bit one-dimensional.
But hey, sometimes you just need a good, hateable bad guy.
Right, and he definitely served that purpose. Terrence Howard as Rhodey.
Now, he didn't get quite as much attention.
Some reviewers felt like his character was a bit underdeveloped in this one.
Maybe setting the stage for his bigger role in later movies, right?
Yeah, maybe he was just getting warmed up. And of course, we got to mention Jon Favreau.
The director, and also the guy who plays Happy Hogan.
He did a great job behind the camera, and his little cameo added some fun moments.
But beyond the action and the effects, what were some of the deeper themes that resonated with people?
Well, Tony Stark's transformation was a big one. He starts out as this selfish, arrogant...
world-weary jerk, as one reviewer put it.
Right, but he goes through this huge change, realizes he needs to be responsible, to use his power for good.
That redemption arc, it's really compelling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people felt like Iron Man brought a different kind of realism to the superhero genre.
Yeah, a bit more grounded, more believable than some of the more fantastical stuff.
Like, you could actually see this technology existing someday.
Some reviewers even compared it to Batman Begins in that sense.
Interesting. A more serious, mature take on the origin story?
But it still had plenty of humor, which is important.
Absolutely. You got to have that balance. And what about the film's legacy? How did it change the game for superhero movies?
Well, a lot of people credit it with setting a new standard. It showed that you could have action and spectacle.
But also smart writing, character development, humor that wasn't just cheesy one-liners.
It raised the bar, for sure. And then there's that ending. I mean, come on. I am Iron Man.
Chills. Such a bold move. No secret identity, just straight up owning it.
And the reviews. Everyone was talking about that moment.
Iconic. It flipped the script on the whole superhero formula.
Yeah, and it set the tone for the MCU. No more hiding in the shadows.
Now let's talk numbers for a second. Box office-wise, Iron Man was a monster hit.
Huge. Over 319 million domestically, almost 586 million worldwide.
People flocked to see it. But of course, not everyone loved everything about it.
Right, there was some criticism. Some people thought the villain wasn't as interesting as Tony Stark.
Yeah, Obadiah Stane was a bit more straightforward, maybe.
And some people felt like the final action scene was a bit rushed.
Maybe didn't quite live up to the build-up.
One reviewer also complained about the product placement, said it took them out of the movie.
Ah, the curse of the blockbuster. And then, of course, you always have that one person who thinks it's overrated.
Saw that a few times. But hey, you can't win them all.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Now, did you stick around after the credits?
Of course. It's a Marvel movie. Gotta wait for the post-credit scene.
And this one was a biggie.
Oh, yeah. It teased the whole connected universe, set up what was to come.
The first taste of the MCU as we know it. Genius.
So, wrapping things up, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, Downey Jr. as Iron Man, that's the foundation. A truly iconic performance.
The origin story, the transformation, the action, the humor, it all works together.
And it changed the game for superhero movies. Set a new standard for storytelling, for visual effects, for everything.
And it launched a whole universe.
Exactly. So, thinking about all the superhero movies that have come out since then, what do you think makes Iron Man stand out?
Why do people still love it? How did it influence everything that followed?
Maybe it's time for a rewatch.
With a fresh perspective.
Let us know what you think.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
Until next time.